to speak at a public meeting, which touched off one of these incidents. That in section L of one, it says town official, municipal employee, and public official or employee or consultant shall not appear on behalf of or represent a person in any manner before a municipal department, board, commission, agency, or any other municipal body, section, or function. However, a town officer, municipal employee, public official, employee, or consultant may appear on his or her own behalf. Now, it strikes me that a person standing up and commenting in general on a situation wouldn't necessarily be advocating in favor of someone one way or another. Had I spoken at that particular meeting, which I did not, that's probably the nature of what I would have said. So it strikes me that this is just a little bit not clear, and I wonder if you can give me a closer reading on that, and why see, my essential argument to you is I think you're stretching the notion of conflict of interest too far. And I've commented on this before. Can you say more about that? Yes.
I can. That language, conflict of interest, is defined in general municipal law. Those are all definitions from the state. That's your definition of conflict of interest.
This isn't a definition of conflict of interest.
Those are examples, and those are required in your conflict of interest law, which is handed down by the state. Much of the language in the conflict of interest portion, or almost all of it, is taken directly from the general municipal law. Those are the requirements in the law. So that doesn't come from me personally.
Okay, well, no, but you're here to explain what's in this text, and that's what I'm asking you for.
That's what I just said. It comes from.
Okay, and what I'm asking you about is, suppose a town official, employee, et cetera, stood up and said, I think it's a good idea for us to expand agricultural production as much as we can, not arguing on behalf of Mr. Novak or anybody else in particular. Would that be an infringement of such conflict of interest law?
I'll speak to that. That is the provision that we think was violated as a result of speaking up at the other meetings. I've read that, I've read the definitions of the words, and I think it does cover advocating for something that you know someone else may be doing, like in the instance of Mr. Novak. It's not entirely clear.
Yeah.
It was defined better if there were more specific words that defined that. It might be easier to know whether you're violating that or not. But the goal is to avoid the potential for you influencing a board because of your position on another board. And in regard to not speaking, there actually is some case law and opinion that the board member should not speak up at other board meetings as a result of them potentially influencing the board members by their comments. So it's not this perfect black and white area of what you can and can't.
Well, that's what I was curious about, because it just seemed utterly bizarre when I first heard about it, because it's as though you could, exercising freedom of speech or being a good citizen or bad citizen, whichever you are, showing up at some meeting and saying, hey, my opinion is, that I'm not here as Councilman Novak or Councilman Vandenberg, I'm here as Joe Dokes, you know.
The problem with that, though, is that you're walking into an area that's a gray area. You can't wear your hat as a board member in one instance, and as we've discussed before, because your opinion isn't voted for, the board votes for something else, walk in and say, hey, now I'm a private citizen and I'm going to argue against that. That would be like an attorney saying, hey, I represented somebody over here, but since this is a different matter, I'm representing somebody who's against him in a different matter. And it's just one of those things that you have to do your very best to avoid that situation, because if it's not clearly a conflict, it's potentially a conflict. And
Well, that's good to know, because
it's
somebody
the
like
higher
me would not have
standard
known
we're
that.
trying to uphold as appointed officials.
The other issue that was connoted with you, Kristen, and this is not in any sense hostile to you, I'm just saying this, is that before that argument started, you said something like, well, I'm gonna comment, and then you came to the front of the room and instructed me as you did. Now, what happened was, I don't know, what happened in my mind is I don't know why, because you're a town attorney, you get to say something about it, but I don't. That doesn't make any sense to me. This would have been on the Novak, you know,
I didn't comment on anything, nor did I say I would comment.
you did say in the back of the room that you were going to.
No, only in regard, I was asked by a couple board members whether or not they could speak. I think Betty was one, Chris was there too, so I think it was those two. And I said, well, let me tell you all three at once, because you're town board members, you really shouldn't be speaking. Chris, of course, can speak on his own behalf because
Sure.
he's petitioner. The others of you are not supposed to be speaking at all because of the danger of influencing the decision of the board. So maybe you heard something, you misheard something. I had no opinion on Chris's petition at all. I was asked to be there, and I was asked to give that answer by a couple other
Oh,
board
okay.
members. So you misconstrued something. And I didn't have any comment about Chris's application personally.
So just, I think I get it. You believe all of us should just stay quiet at other particular meetings?
Okay,
if
it's
it-
not a personal belief, and. so
No, I mean,
back to
your,
this, yes.
your legal,
My legal opinion is two things. One, in regard to the law, you all had a lot of time to review it, make comments. Hank worked with me exclusively on it, extensively, sorry. and
Not on
exclusively.
this particular paragraph, no.
And those definitions and examples are mandated through general municipal law, which I simply adopted because we're required to in producing our own law. So that's the answer to, I don't stretch the terminology. That's what's there, that's what you get. If you want to argue it, you have to go to the state. In regard to whether or not you can speak, there is case law, and I will look it up because it seems to be an issue that's come up probably 4 or 5 times. I will look it up. I'll give it to Linda to make sure you all get it, or I'll send it out via email. You are not supposed to speak as board members for the reason that Greg said.
And Greg,
if
and
you
Greg
have
is
a
saying that,
personal opinion,
and Greg is saying if
excuse
we
me,
show
one
up at
second, 'cause
another
I'm
meeting.
answering Chris first, and then ask me or interrupt her. I don't know why this is turning into this kind of argument at this point.
I got to call a
Okay,
point of
so-
order here. The issue on the table was the ethics board and compliance officer. We seem to have deteriorated into an individual case here.
No, it's that they brought up this, and since this was on the table, and for some of us, seeing this in this much detail was the first time. Because Kirsten and I did work on it, but we never drilled, when I was present with this, we never drilled down to this level of detail.
Okay.
And I'm actually appreciating getting clarification on this, because I thought you were pulling it out of your hat, very frankly.
This is only your ethics law that you and I did. The conflict of interest is defined in the ethics law that was passed previously under Sarah Nicole's,
Right.
supervisorship.
But it was more
So
global
this
at
is
that
nothing
point.
new.
It
This
was
is
more
not
global.
anything new.
It was more global at that point.
There's nothing new in there.
Okay.
The
Thanks,
employee
Jen.
handbook contains that law, yes. It's part of the employee handbook.
Okay, I guess to get back to the compliance officer discussion, does the board prefer that we look for, contact Catholic Charities or look for some other way of mediation here? Outside of-
I make a motion, we find an outside mediator, whether it be Catholic Charities or others.
Second.
Just
Okay.
one point of clarification, Bill. Just, I don't know if it was understood, there's no one appointed to actually investigate the behavioral issues. The mediator would come in to resolve that issue at a later date. So the board still needs to appoint someone itself, the ethics committee, whatever, to make sure there's an investigation of that. And then maybe a recommendation is, let's send this to mediation. That would be a good way to resolve it.
I think we need to pick an in-house compliance officer, someone who understands the CBA, somebody that maybe has mediation experience and just knowing what should be mediated or not, and someone who's familiar with the human resource. It's a human resource position.
Typically, corporations have their human resources person
Right.
be this compliance if you don't have a human resources
Right.
individual.
Have you appointed the ethics board to do that?
The problem with appointing a board is that investigation can get expensive, so I think it should be an officer that you're willing to pay. Because I think it could be very unfair, it could be very hard on someone to go through a full investigation. I think it could be costly, it could be costly in time and money.
So am I hearing that your best advice is to seek an outside officer?
This has
Instill,
been an issue in a lot of municipalities. Some choose their attorney, but then they have a conflict of interest if it involves the attorney, as in this case it would, so they have to hire another attorney. Typically, they hire either an HR person or an attorney. Typically. That's
and
not
I'm
saying you have
gathering
to.
still the investigative part of the deal
Yeah,
would be up to the board?
not,
Well,
no, they would bring the information to you and it might, and give you a recommendation, and then it's up to the board to decide what you want to do with that information.
The compliance officer is basically like an intake.
So
To start.
Investigative, and
Right.
they can give an opinion.
I'm sure Sean's probably had some kind of experience.
Yeah, I think Sean would be a good.
we have a motion on the table. You want to repeat his motion so everybody?
Well, Sean made a motion to find a mediator, regardless of who it was, to handle this.
Okay.
And I seconded it.
And we have a second. All right, any further discussion on that? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Abstain, because I believe we're putting the cart before the horse, because the Duns told us we should have a compliance officer before we get a mediator, but that's fine.
Okay. Passed. Historian report. Please.
For those of you who don't know me, my name is Margaret Schlotzauer, and I was appointed to be the assistant historian for the town of Palatine. The real historian is Skip Bearshite, and I do what I can to help him. Recently, I was asked, well, I see that two of you were appointed. What do you people do? So I thought I should come to a board meeting and tell you of our most recent thing that we've done. We took on the signage in the town of Palatine. And this is just a copy of what signage looks like. It comes in different sizes and shapes. If you'd like to pass that around. The one that I would like to discuss tonight is that there's the Dillenbeck Tavern. The Dillenbeck Tavern was built in 1835 by Andreas Dillenbeck. And it served as a place for the stage coach to stop on their way through the valley here. And it also served as a church and a ballroom. Kind of a
Multi-purpose.
multi-purpose building. And this is what the building looked like back then. Pass that around. The signage in front of the building has become unreadable. And so Skip and I thought we would investigate it a little bit more to see what we could do to make that better. We want to preserve the history here in the town of Palatine. So we took it upon ourselves to search, and we found a person who will refurbish this sign. To get a new sign is anywhere from $1,600 to $2,000. Ridiculous. So Skip and I have been around the block a few times. We'd like to think that our age has given us some knowledge, and we don't give up very easily. And so we found someone who would refurbish the sign at a cost of $300, not to the town. I went to the part of the family and asked them if at their reunion they would like to bring it up of refurbishing this sign. They said yes, and we will pay for it. They're going to pay $300 as opposed to $1,600 to $2,000 to have this sign refurbished. The other sign that you'll see missing, and you'll wonder where it is the one in front of Trinity Lutheran Church. That one is also being refurbished. Pass this along if you'd like. And we put that out to the congregation, members of the congregation, and the members have come forth that they will pay for it, and that those two signs will be restored.
Nice.
Margaret, thank you, great work. But could you tell people that don't know where the sign sat, the Dylan Beck Tavern sign sat?
Yes, it's at the corner of Stone Arabia Road and Con,
By Richard Kennedy's.
by Richard Kennedy's, in that vicinity. And next to the Kennedy's driveway is where this sign was, and just behind that is a small cemetery that contains 6 graves. And one of the next projects that Skip and I will take on is on private land. If there may be a cemetery, if the landowner would like to have a little help in getting it cleared up. Years ago, it used to be taken care of by the highway department, and it was a requirement in the state of New York that these rural cemeteries be taken care of. So there, to my knowledge and what Skip has told me, there are 43 cemeteries in the town of Palatine that are out in the rural areas that need attention.
Can we hear from the other half of the history department?
Yes, you
The
can.
Getman family, who lived right next to where that sign were, that was Russell Getman's ancestors. And he was instrumental in getting that sign put up. And he was a good friend of mine, as all the rest of the family was. And it's a little cost to have something. You know, the state quite a few years ago started taking down some of those signs. Probably 40 years ago, I went to a meeting with a local guy in Syracuse with the state historian. Started talking about, well, they were taking those signs down, those smaller ones, and putting up area signs, such as the one down on Tribes Hill. And I remember what I said. The thing of it is, when a small child goes by in the school bus, he isn't going to go by those. He's going to buy the little ones in the country, and they realize that history happened upon their own thresholds. Those signs are important.
Thanks, Skip.
And it's a pleasure to work with Skip. And thank you for appointing me and Skip. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you
Welcome.
for both your guys' work.
I make a motion, we accept the co-historians' reports as read.
I'll second it. Okay. All those in favor say
Aye.
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 Opposed? Carried. Okay, supervisor's budget report. You all have the analysis.
Mr. Supervisor, did you get what the state mandated figure is for this year's budget? Increase?
No, I haven't yet.
Okay.
No,
I paid $550.
I don't see that that's going to be too material this year. I don't foresee any increase.
I was just curious what they
I
gave
don't
us.
see an increase.
Thank you.
Okay.
Any idea when we're gonna start budget workshops or anything?
Excuse me?
Any idea when we're gonna start the budget workshops?
No, we have to start, we
By
have to be done with the various departments' requests for funds by September 20th. So it started, yes. Any other questions? I want to make a motion to accept the supervisor's budget.
I'll make a motion to accept supervisor's budget report.
Okay, is there a
Second.
second?
Second?
Second by Hank. Any further discussion? No discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay, old business. We already covered the planning board fees. That is going to be an ongoing process. I would say by next month's meeting, we should have something done there. Is it necessary to discuss the Amish children walking to and from school?
Yes, because I spoke to Levi, Tyler, and they would like signs. The problem is that some of the signs are on county roads, some of the signs are on state roads. but they have had a few near misses, and they would like to see if we could get signs, because they've been told that other communities in the state have been able to get signs for the schoolhouses.
Now, this is Levi Byler.
Yes.
Is he-
Levi D. Levi D. Byler. He lives where who was the doctor that raised the ostriches?
Row,
Dr. Rao.
row.
Dr. Rao. He
Nice
lives in
photo right
Dr. Rao's place now. He moved over there. Okay, he is on his school board
Aha, that's.
district.
Is he on the Amish school board?
Yes, he is on the Amish school board.
Could you, ask him, being how you're reporting for him, to just write us a brief letter and, indicate that, the school board would like to have signs put up,
So,
and we'll address it.
just so you know how it works, there's several school boards in the Amish community. Each one is responsible for 3 or 4 schoolhouses.
Right.
So, I'm gonna go to him, and then I'm gonna go to Levi U. Mast on, what's the road that's off of 67 that goes and cuts back into Ephrata? He's-
Turnpike?
No,
Turn Hill.
Turnhill. He's up at the top of Turnhill.
That's Mosey Mast,
No, Mosey U. Mast is on Hickory Hill Road across from Yoder.
Eli Kurtz,
Eli Kurtz is on Dillenbeck Road.
doesn't matter, they're on the school board.
I understand. Eli Kurtz has been resting from his heart condition and has delegated Levi U. Mast to take over some of that stuff. So,
If the school board would give us a letter, we certainly can entertain it.
that's fine. Okay.
Do we do signs?
We would have to help initiate the process. I don't think we can do them on county roads. We don't have any jurisdiction, correct, Sean? That would be you
No.
guys, right?
No.
Nope.
No, you don't.
Okay. So we'd have to ask the county, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't wanna initiate anything with the county until we have something in writing.
That's fine. Next month there'll be something right. Not a problem. I
Bill.
just wanted to report
This
back.
came up once before, and they did put some signs over on Stone Arabia Road. You remember?
Mm-hmm.
So it has happened before.
Yeah, all they can do, technically, all they gotta do is technically call down to the, if it's on a county road, call down to the county. We'll come out, the engineer will come out, look at it, see if it's justifiable, and go from there.
Okay. So next month, or at the next meeting, I'll have that signed by one or more of the school board members.